Do evil monsters lurk in the Baltic Sea? Can bears in the forest be spirits of the vanished? Are gnomes playing tricks in the trees? Today we test the believability of Finland's myths and monsters.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
Yes, so Tyler, this episode, I decided to do something. I went to my favorite post that we've ever posted on Instagram.
Ever?
Yes.
With Antarctica?
Nope.
Oh.
It is, what would you like to see BTB cover in 2024?
Okay.
So
Your favorite post was this year?
that's my favorite post that we've ever done.
Ever? Okay.
Because it's just like, what do you want us to do? And
Tell
a lot
us.
of people answered. And I saw a comment from user _. They said, I'd like to hear some Finnish and Nordic lore. And I said, bet.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool idea. So here we are.
So what you're saying is there is value for people to tell us what they want us to talk about.
100%, 1000%. Because we see all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just something.
Unless it's like a divisive conspiracy.
Hey,
We're
maybe
not here for that. For now. For now.
For now. But so we're going to talk about some cool monsters and some myths from Finland and some, hopefully, some encounters. I wrote this in here because I don't want to do a full topic about it. It's nothing paranormal, but it's very cool.
Okay.
Do you know who the White Death is?
No.
The White Death is one of the most prolific snipers in the world.
Oh, yes. Okay.
He is from Finland.
Yeah.
He was a farmer. He fought in World War II. He was a sniper that did not use a scope. He only used iron sights.
Just squeeze that eye a little bit.
He only used his right eye when he was firing.
Oh, my goodness.
He was wounded several times. He was a beast with only 505 confirmed kills. However, people believe that's only a third of his actual kills.
Whoa.
He died in 2002, and he was a menace for the Soviet Union. Yeah.
That's it?
That's it. That's all I want to say.
You know what it made me think of is a gauntlet where it's like, death has arrived.
Yes.
Blue elf needs food. Bad. For whatever reason, that's what the White Death made me think of.
And he was shorter than us.
No way.
He was 5'3".
He was one with Earth.
Yes, he was easy to hide.
Yeah.
It's a little bit about the White Death. I just want to mention him because it's one of my favorite topics ever, and he's from Finland. So here we are. So some of my sources today include Finland.fi, F-I, theculturetrip.com, Demonic Paradise Wiki, folklore.usc.edu, Finnish Mysteries Illustrated, Medium, and indigenouspeople.net/myths of Finland.
What was that demonic one?
Demonic Paradise Wiki.
That sounds like a really cool site. There's nothing behind this comment. That's just.
It was pretty interesting. I thought it was kind of funny that was next to folklore.usc.edu.
USC, like University of Southern California?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. They know all about Finland.
They do. So Finland, let me give you a little breakdown about Finland first. It is a part of Scandinavia, and it is one of the oldest countries in the world and has a beautiful countryside. Residents and visitors have something called freedom to roam, which means you can pitch tent anywhere. No license is needed.
Like national parks here.
Yeah, except it doesn't cost anything. Just wherever you want
I think in national parks, unless it's changed recently, you can go wherever you want. But I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Like you can fish, whatever you want to do.
All those travel bloggers, that must be where they're at.
It could be.
They just park their van and they wake up, open the doors of their van, and there's a mountain and some water.
Honestly.
In Finland.
Finland is one of the consistently happiest places, well-educated and profitable countries in the world.
Written by Finland.
I have this picture I wanted to show you.
It's just the map of Finland.
No, it's this.
Oh, the Aurora. I saw that in North Canton, homie. Ain't no thing.
I don't think it looked quite like that.
Well, no, but find a nicer camera, maybe.
Beautiful countryside. So that amazing country has their own unique history. That is not Norse. It is different than Norse people. They're their own people. They have their own gods, their own ancient practices. And today we're going to talk about some of those Finnish monsters and myths. All right. So we're going to kick this off with the Iku-Turso, or the AKA Torsasa. Torsas.
The AKA.
It's got two names. It's got two names.
Okay. Sounds like Iku-Turso.
Iku-Turso. It's intense. It is thought to be an ancient god, essentially. It's not quite clear exactly what it looks like, but it was described as the many-horned one. It was called the ox of death and the father of disease. Some describe it kind of like more of like an octopus, but it's really just a big evil monster in the sea.
I was just kidding about the Iku-Turso thing. Don't come after me, evil octopus.
He's just a little guy that's evil.
Little guy?
Well, no, he's not a little guy.
Okay.
So this is my favorite picture of him.
Oh, my. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's another
picture. Is there smoke coming from his mouth?
Yeah.
Nostrils?
He's a monster. And this is like an
jalapenos.
Older kind of picture. I'm not sure. I think it's funny, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little abstract.
A little bit. And yeah, there's not too much to him. It's just, he lives in the Baltic Sea, supposedly.
Okay.
And it's just like this monster, kind of like, it would be known to sink ships. It's just kind of big and scary.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Is this like, you're not there, so I don't expect you to have a pulse on this.
Yeah.
Is this like lore, urban legend, myth, or is this like people
like really,
fear this when they're in the ocean or out when they're out on the sea?
The Iku-Turso is, it's kind of like, I think, kind of like Greek mythology. Like people today obviously don't believe it. Back then,
obviously.
Actually, I know there is actually a push in recent times for kind of mythological gods, but that's not what this is.
Okay.
Modern times, they really don't believe this. It's definitely an older religion kind of thing.
Okay.
Now this one is still believed in. I believe if you have a grandma in Finland, she'll probably tell you about this.
Yeah. I'm trying not to put you on the spot and speak for a country.
No,
people
okay.
that you don't know.
I'm not there. So
Spokesperson Charlie.
I have some answers.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying I don't want to put you in that spot.
I appreciate that.
But I will ask a question.
That's okay. You can ask as many as you want. The Menninkäinen. These are the Finnish version of the Browns logo.
Yeah.
They are little people that live in the woods and they like to pull pranks and mischief.
They're just orange helmets running around.
They do wear pointy hats.
Okay. So they're just mischievous.
They're mischievous. They're little people. They like to pull pranks. They are kind of like fairies in the sense of like gnomes and brownies are fairies. They are also remarkably close to hobbits because a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff was actually based off Finnish folklore. So there's a good chance Tolkien took his description from these guys.
They got them hairy feet.
They're short humanoids. They wear pointed hats. They live underground. They also like to dance in the forest. They like to tell riddles.
Oh.
And they are obsessed with shiny treasure. Kind of
like a leprechaun.
Well, leprechaun or even Rumpelstiltskin.
Okay.
Because a lot of those myths in those areas come from the same place.
They're just dancing between first and second breakfasts.
11 C's. I think he knows about second breakfast. The next creature we have is the Piko. This one is actually pretty interesting.
Compared to that other shit, right? Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this one's, I don't think it's real, but it might be.
Okay.
This creature is essentially a giant troll that looks and eventually becomes part of the land. They can range in sizes, though they are most notable when they are large. Although some sources say they can even shapeshift at will. So they can go small, they can go large.
So what do you mean when you say they become part of the land?
So they're not just lumbering around. They are covered in grass and moss, and facial features look like boulders. Their hands look like boulders. They look like they're part of the landscape. Like when they lay down, they look like they're part of the land.
This feels like a like myth built out of like people hiking,
rocks,
seeing like rock formations that look like people, or like is it like Moana where like the island and the volcanoes, you know what I mean? But it's like you see when you can see shapes and faces in mountain sides and hills and stuff and trees. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, and they've been said to sleep like in those positions where they look like these things for hundreds of years.
Oh.
So
they can shapeshift?
They can shapeshift and shape their sizes too.
You just come home and there's like a completely different tree in front of your house.
Where'd the mountain go? Where did that mountain go?
It's like you make that sale. It's like it has a great location, mountain view. New couple buys a house. Next day, they're like, "What the fuck?"
It's also said that they are not very benevolent. They are actually pretty evil.
Oh.
Because when they're not sleeping, they kidnap children. And when they kidnap children, they don't just eat them. They torture them first. They drill holes in their teeth. I assume they're rock fingers.
Can you imagine?
I've been to the dentist. I can imagine.
But can you imagine something the size of a mountain drilling a tiny, like a child's tooth to a mountain?
Yeah,
is so like I feel like you would miss the tooth and be like, oh, the arm, my bad.
Unless it shrinks down when it's drilling on.
I guess that's true. Sponsored by Milwaukee. It's like, what do they just got? Like, they go to the local hardware store and pick up a drill.
In my head, I see them like shape shifting their finger into like a drill.
Ugh.
But they're evil. They torture kids. Yeah,
that's a brand, right? Milwaukee.
Milwaukee is absolutely a drill. But it's mostly when kids wander off into the forest by themselves. That's when they get got.
Well, they probably step on the wrong place and they wake up the sleeping troll.
Yeah.
It's another folklore to keep kids at home.
Yes, absolutely. The next story is the Keiju. And these creatures are your stereotypical fairies. They are small women with butterfly wings.
Okay.
And they are actually subcategories of these fairies as well that reside in Finland. The first are the Luonnotar, and the Luonnotars can be found wandering throughout the many forests of Finland. So if you're roaming free, they are also roaming free.
There's no laws. They can pitch tent wherever they'd like.
You can't stop them.
Could you imagine if everything you've discussed thus far in this episode was as common folk as like squirrels and deer?
I mean, Finland is like a magical place. So I think so.
But I just day-to-day life, everything we've discussed so far is just as common as a squirrel.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like the most ridiculous place to travel and live to?
Well, it's also like Japan. Do you remember the yokai episode?
Yeah.
And they believed. I think the Japanese people today believe more in the yokai than the Finnish people believe in these things.
I'm just saying, if it was like there was no myth.
Yeah.
It's like
just fact.
We all believe in birds, even though they might not be real. But if these were as common as that, just like I'm traveling to finish to work meeting, I'm trying to be in and out. I don't just like.
It would be so cool to see these things. I mean, it'd be a different kind of planet at that point, I think.
Yeah. It's the only place they can come out because they have the open roam thing.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, they don't want to pay property tax and stuff. Yeah. Loitering. That's our problem here is we're driving away our mythical creatures. That's why people disappear in the national forest all the time. This is an interesting theory.
That's actually very interesting. There's many reasons. We should do another 411 episode. Talk about that some more.
Why property laws and stuff are keeping mythical creatures away.
Yes, that's right. So the second are the Ilmatar. Ilmatar sit in the sky, aka on rainbows, and they have a property where they glow white, silver, or golden. So if you ever look in the sky and see like a golden glimpse or something, that is probably one of these fairies.
Sounds like, what is they called, a sundog?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, like this would be like you gotta. Well, it seems like there's no harm in these, right?
No,
they just would probably come out after it rains with the rainbow.
Yeah, they just hang out. Nothing wrong with these.
Like, it's rainy, guys. We got to make everyone feel better.
There's actually an artist too. I think they're a rapper from Finland. They go by Keiju. I did not listen to their music. The third one is the.
Wait, what do they have to do with?
They're named Keiju, like the elf.
Okay, I see.
The third one is the Metsänneito. They are young maidens who can be seen in the woods. I think they're a little bit taller than your typical fairy, but they're still fairies. And those are the Keiju. Very kind little creatures.
Okay. I can get down with the kind creatures.
Yeah. So the next creature is called the Hiisi. Boy. This one, it's spelled Hiisi. I don't think it's fair that they get all those vowels. So these creatures are large humanoids, 6 to 7 feet tall, and they are goblin-like creatures that are also sometimes perceived as old gods. They lived in the forest, the water, and then deep inside the mountains of Finland. They are said to mark places in the wilderness where sacrifices to the old gods were made. And some of these places are still called Hiisi's churns. Like They like made like almost like circles in boulders.
Even if it's man-made, you know.
Yeah. The mountains where they live are called Hiisi castles. And men would travel to these mountains to find a bride amongst the Hiisi's daughters. They're looking for brides.
Aren't they goblins?
Yeah. I don't know why they did that.
They're not choosy. This was before Tinder. There's a lot of things people did before Tinder, guys.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like Bumble, but you know. So when they arrived at the mountains, the queen of the Hiisi's would receive them as guests, but they would give them tasks to do. So they would give them things because they were blacksmiths. They would give them things like magical iron gear, an iron cap, an iron coat.
Wait, the bachelors would give this to the Hiisi?
No, the other way around. The Hiisi would give this to the bachelors as they did their tasks.
Oh, to do their tasks.
Yeah, and they'd give them a helmet, iron gloves, iron boots, and then they were also, the bachelors would make up magical songs for the Hiisi as well. Some of these myths kind of shape the Hiisi as part devils, and they would actually attack these people as well, the bachelors. They would shoot them with poison arrows and cause accidents. These poison arrows were invisible to the humans, of course, and it would cause serious pains. Like you imagine like walking down a trail or hiking down a trail. All of a sudden you get a shooting pain in your hip. Couldn't be your hip flexor.
Couldn't be a mosquito with West Nile.
It's a invisible arrow.
I see.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think Ben got hit by that.
He did.
During our 50 miler.
He definitely got hit by a couple.
So how bad are Finnish women that we got dudes traveling to demon-like goblins to do tasks?
I think it's more like a power thing.
Okay.
Remember like when the Kelp...
Because their offspring would be half Hiisi?
Mm-hmm. You remember the Kelpie?
Yeah.
And how they try to like take power over the Kelpie?
The bridle?
I think kind of like this. It's kind of like that. So they try
the bridle?
Or even, yeah, it's the bridle. Like the Selkie. Remember they tried to marry the Selkies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to say they did it. It's like my trophy. That's literally a trophy wife.
Yeah.
Did it say what kind of tasks they had to do?
We're...
Pick up my dry cleaning.
No, not really the tasks. I think it was more about keeping the area pristine, keeping the Hiisi's area safe for them.
Oh, go clean this area with your iron boots on.
So one story about the Hiisi is they would take an axe and he would push this axe into one particular bachelor. He was a shaman, and this axe was so sharp that it would cause life-threatening bleeding to him. And then another evil Hiisi would grasp the hatchet, and Lempo, his goon, took this crooked handle and he twisted the blade into him.
Oh.
So they tortured this man.
Did he still get the bride?
I don't think he made it. He said life-threatening bleeding.
He didn't have a job. He just wanted to stay and play video games all day. They're like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, come on in.
But I think that led to something that one of the reasons why we're talking about the Hiisi here is because shamans would call upon the Hiisi to stop bleeding. They'd be challenged. They'd be summoned forth to stop like life-threatening bleeding from the axe, from the hatchet, because they had that power. And they would say, "O Hiisi, come from Altula, thou humpbacked from the home of the gods, come hither with thy sons, and the serving girls, with whose nature too, the utmost speed to crush and eat the evil things that lap the mountains evil up." Yes. Do you have questions?
Nah.
That's what they said.
Okay. Word for word. They memorized it, or they got a script?
I think it's probably more impressive in Finnish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think they memorized?
I think so. It's not that long.
Okay.
So they would call upon the Hiisi to help stop bleeding because they were powerful nature spirits.
But didn't they cause the bleeding?
Yes, they did.
So they caused the bleeding, and then they called upon themselves to stop the
Shamans would call upon them to stop the bleeding of people. Like if someone got hurt on a farm or something.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. It's like,
is it like a favor thing though? Like,
yeah.
So now you owe them something?
Yeah. Because it's never one for one, you know.
You got a Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup. The powerful nature god wants a Stanley Cup. They're also called on to cast vengeance on people. So if someone would take vengeance on somebody else, you would call upon the Hiisi and you would say, "If envious person look, May the blood cloak of the Hilta and Hiisi's gory rug be bound across their eyes and fastened around their ears, so that with the eyes they can't be seen, and so that with the ears they can't be heard. And that's like a spell almost.
Is it bad that I like that one more?
No, I like that one a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one a lot more too.
They make it easy when you want to do harm to someone.
Yeah, well, and they're almost kind of evil though.
Just human nature.
This is a picture of what they might look like.
Oh my.
Yeah, they're evil looking.
I'm sure that the women that they're going for gorgeous.
I'm sure they're very happy with them. So we'll move on to the next one. And this is the Naki.
The Naki?
Naki. The Naki is the Finnish water monster. It is a malevolent water demon that is known to live in the deepest ends of ponds and rivers. They're said to be made completely from seaweed, and they are immortal while underwater. They are the thing that lured children under docks, and they would drown them. So they would lure children into the water. And
yeah, but docks aren't really the deepest part.
No, they aren't. But I think they'd come out and hunt. But they would take children, and they would drown them. And
you don't have to justify the story, Charlie. It's okay.
Some inconsistencies, I guess. There was a spell that a person could say before they went swimming, which would keep the Naki away. The words were Naki, Madel, Minya, Vitin, Ala, Tool, Ottoman, which means Naki to the land, me in the water. Do not dare take me.
I'm just imagining someone swimming, and then they see the Naki coming to them, and they say that, and it's just like, Expecto Patronum! And it's just like, damn it. All right, I'll get someone else. That's why they go for the kids, because the kids don't know that shit.
Yeah,
they can't memorize that.
Yeah.
They can't tell blue from purple.
I'm doing my very best with this Finnish here. I'm doing my best.
Well, I don't know it, so I can't judge. So it all sounds perfect to me.
And then when a person would get out of the water, they would have another spell. They would say, Miana, Melda, Naki, Vietin. Me to the land, Naki back to the water.
Oh, so it's like a don't come with me.
Yeah.
Almost like an attachment thing.
Kind of. And then this is a pretty cool picture of what they would look like.
Oh, man. They're not as, well, it's hard to tell with perspective. Are they very large or are they not very large?
That's a good question. I think they're like 4 or 5 feet tall.
Okay. For some reason, I was expecting it to be a very large sea creature.
Yeah, they're not giants. They're not huge.
Well, see, that thing I can imagine being near a dock.
Yeah.
I was imagining this large sea creature that needed the deep. That thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely could swim around the docks.
Yeah.
This last one, it's not very long, but it's probably my favorite. It's the Otso. And the Otso is a kind forest spirit. And it is the shape of a bear. This bear spirit is known to be a friend, brother, uncle, even a forest cousin. And in some parts of Finland, the bear spirit was even thought to be a person that had fled in the woods and transformed into a bear.
Brother bear. I like that.
Yeah. And
I also see it's your spirit animal, so I can see why you like this.
Oh, yeah. I've got like 2 really cool pictures. I love this one.
So like if you ever go hiking,
yeah.
Listen, I could see you getting that tattoo.
I could too. That's cool too.
Yeah, I like that one better. That looks like a bad hedgehog or a bad porcupine.
I could see it. But yeah, I like that.
You have to send me all these photos so we can post them.
I will indeed.
I feel like you're gonna try to run off in the woods and hope and just sit down on this log and hope that this happens.
Do you remember when we talked about the Selkie and people thought that they were their loved ones that had been lost to the sea?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a similar idea to what these spirits are, that they think they're transformed. It's a way to explain that they're okay.
So when you're at home and this black bear comes and is foraging your house and you're like shooting it, that's just Uncle Joe.
I don't think you shoot it. I think in Finland you just say, get out of here.
Come on.
Whatever.
They're like, hey,
going.
My land is your land. Like, damn it, you're right. Pitch a tent. Come on over. I'm heating up some gnocchi.
Salmon. But bears are very well respected there. As they should be. Bears are nice creatures.
I think they're cool. They can be kind of aggressive.
They can be, I guess. I mean, especially a mother bear with their cubs, or a big male bear who's trying to. So yeah, those are some of those myths and monsters of Finland. let's talk about some actual encounters. So I've got some stories. I'll be straight up honest with you. I don't have any encounters from Finland.
Are we just going to talk about the random hauntings?
No.
So this haunted house in Pennsylvania.
No, I
thought it would supplement the episode.
Well, I thought I would supplement through stories of gnome encounters.
Gnome?
Gnome.
Okay.
Because it reminds me a lot of the Menninkäinen. It's the same kind of spirit of the Menninkäinen.
Okay.
So these are not necessarily in Finland. One actually is specifically in Oklahoma. But
okay.
But there are gnomes.
Okay.
So, let's talk a little about gnomes.
This is really random.
I didn't think they were that random.
No, it's just funny that we got an Oklahoma story in an episode about Finland. Like Finland gets one episode.
Dude, I tried.
I know, I'm not saying you didn't try. It's just funny. It's just funny. That's all.
So the first story, they're all from Reddit, by the way. From user Alien Conspiracy. Good username. When I was a kid, we would get together with my cousin a few times a year. They would either come to stay with us for a few days or we would stay with them at their house. My eldest cousin is a year older than me, and my other cousin is a year younger. The gnome story took place at their house. I can't remember exactly how old I was at the time, between 4 and 6. So me and my older cousin were sleeping in her room when I was awakened by whispering. She had a nightlight next to her dollhouse, so I could see a little bit in her room. And when I looked around to see where the whispering was coming from, I saw what looked like gnomes. I was absolutely terrified and woke up my cousin to tell her. She told me to ignore them and don't look at them. And then she went back to sleep. I was scared out of my mind and hid under the blanket until the sun came up. I asked her about them again the next day, and she told me that she only sees them once in a while, but my other cousin saw them a lot. I don't think we ever really talked about them again, but I definitely remember after that being afraid of their house at night. I would not use the bathroom during the nights because I was afraid of seeing them again. I know most people aren't going to believe me, but that's okay. I wouldn't have believed myself either. So believe me or not, I definitely know what I saw. End story.
I think the most interesting part about that story is it shows the disconnect between people who live with the paranormal and those who don't.
Yes, I agree with that.
That's what I'm taking away from that story.
No, I agree totally.
And it kind of goes back to what we said earlier about imagine if these mythological creatures and folklore entities or whatever were as commonplace as squirrels and deer and stuff like that. It's you got one person who's completely amazed, terrified, doesn't know how to handle the situation, and somebody who's just like, oh yeah, just don't look at him and ignore him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a dick thing to do. I mean,
it is.
Like it's
like you still have to like say like, yeah, that's a thing that happens here.
Yeah, or just like I'll stay up with you while like I don't know. It just don't look at him. I'm not gonna tell you why.
I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, bye. Like it's very inconsiderate, and also just never talking about it again.
Yeah,
every day text like, so can we about those things? Or
I saw them
the next day at breakfast. Can you pass the syrup? By the way, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next encounter from Reddit from Mamatia 2009. We were at our great grandmother's house. Well, my cousin's grandmother. She had lived in Oklahoma. From what I remember, it was like a ranch house. She had horses and several other animals. She lived in a long trailer home, and all the walls with wood paneling. I can still remember the smell. Anyway, all the adults were in the living room, and we were in the back of the master bedroom, close to the horses. I remember playing with her dolls and giggling. After some time of playing and being funny, we heard giggling nearby. I remember her asking for me to do a fake giggle, and we did. And shortly after that, something mimicked our giggles, and it sounded more than one. Then the horses started going wild, and we sprang out of the room to the living room and told the adults that there were people outside spying on us. Well, my aunt and my uncle went outside in a hurry, ready to kick some ass. My great-grandfather brushed it off. He told them not to worry. He said it was just the gnomes, and they are harmless. They didn't find anything outside. End quote. Again, that goes to what we're saying. Some people, it's just every day.
Somebody who lives in Finland and doesn't know anything about the United States is going to hear that encounter and not know what it's like to have an episode dedicated to their country and folklore be tied to Oklahoma. And no, I've been to Oklahoma, so I've been there twice. I have no problem with Oklahoma. It's just so funny. That is, the laughter is really creepy.
Yeah. And I would say if they are in Finland and they have their own story they'd like to submit, please do that.
I think gnomes would probably like Oklahoma because it's very flat.
Yeah.
And they got little legs.
Like
you don't want to be going up and down hills with the little legs.
That's my problem. Like, that's why I don't like hiking up hills.
Yeah.
I got little legs.
You got to go to Oklahoma, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This last story from Reddit from Arya, Areeyuh.
Arya, yeah.
Arya. And they said, when I was young, maybe 7 or 8, I went to summer camp in the forest somewhere, about an hour and a half north of the city. Don't know what city. And we had a rule that you had to tell the counselor if you needed to use the restroom. Out of the campsite, then it was about 3 or 4 minutes walk away. But you needed to take a buddy with you. So I woke up late and needed to use the bathroom. I woke up my tent mate, and then we woke up a counselor, and she told us to go ahead and let her know when we got back. My tent mate and I must have taken the wrong path as we quickly got lost. We were in our pajamas with only flashlights, and we were getting increasingly worried, and were wandering around for about 15 minutes, and I knew I was going to pee my pants if we didn't find a way out soon. And then all of a sudden, we hear a rustling sound in the bush next to us. We assumed it was an animal, but then the rustling continued, and it was really loud. We started moving along the path, and we decided to follow it. I'm not sure why, but it seemed like it wanted us to follow it. The bushes were very thick and very tall. Definitely tall enough for a small child to stand up straight and not be seen if they were in the bushes. After following the rustling for a few minutes, we reached the campsite. It led us back. I went back to the counselor who had started worrying about us and told her what happened. She brushed it off, and she took me to the bathroom herself. The next day, as we were about to leave, everyone was gathering by the buses to go home, and the maintenance guy was there. He asked me if I'd enjoyed my trip, and I told him about what happened last night. He started smiling and told me it was the gnomes. He said there was a community of gnomes in the woods, and they were rarely seen, but they were very kind. You're laughing like a villain.
No, that whole paranormal... Are you done?
No, not done, no.
Oh, okay.
They often came out at night and were known to pick up trash at the campsite and stuff like that. He said they must have noticed that we were lost, but didn't want to scare us, so they stayed hidden and led us back to the campsite. I told my mom when I got home, but of course, she thought I was trying to entertain her, but it still seems odd to me to this day. End story.
Rustling in the woods was odd?
Yeah.
Dude.
I don't know.
Come on.
But you followed it back to the campsite.
Come on.
That's the odd part.
Then a wild... No. No.
You don't know?
No, this is what it is. This is like a summer camp?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. This is the summer camp maintenance guy. That just... There's a reason
he lives in the woods.
There's a reason he's a summer camp maintenance guy. No disrespect to all the summer camp maintenance guys listening right now. But he needs something to entertain himself with. And you know what? Maybe like there was like a vicious like coyote, but he doesn't want to scare the kids. So he's like, oh, that's just the gnome. You know, it's just also, you know how mad I'd be if I had to pee and I'm following this rustling and it brought me back to where I started.
Yeah. Yeah, you go back to the restroom. Take it to the restroom.
Have you ever had to pee so badly that you got like cramping?
Yes.
Like severe cramping.
In the movie
stand up
theaters
straight.
happened before.
Dude, I would not be messing with any like gnome, skunk, raccoon.
Yeah.
It's probably raccoon if they're eating foods around there. That was I think that was it's funny how the entire scope, you know, it's like if you tell the same story in two different locations, you have two different entities.
Yeah.
It's based on your culture and stuff.
Uh-huh.
This story, without the maintenance guy in it, could have so many different buckets that it would fall in.
Yeah.
But it's listed, it's thrown under gnomes because they listen to a random maintenance guy at the summer camp.
Well, here's the thing. This is why we're so different, because I heard the story. I was like, that's the most credible story about gnomes.
What?
That's what I thought.
That's
why I made it last.
More than the laughing where there were many?
Yeah. Yeah, this was the most credible one for me.
Yeah, this was probably a raccoon.
I don't know about that. Anyway, those are my encounters about gnomes. And again, I related it to Finland and Finland myths and monsters. You're like, I totally forgot about Finland.
They have to pee in Finland?
No.
They hear voices in Finland. And what happened in the first story?
Nightlight, little creatures in the home.
They have homes in Finland.
But you know what?
You can go in their homes because it's free range, but...
It reminded me of the Menninkäinen and the Finnish folklore about them. Anyway.
Listen, you are the bus driver. You can put whatever stories you want on here. I'm with you.
I did.
I'm in the back seat, dude.
We did stop in Oklahoma for a little while.
That's okay. I've driven through it. I've driven to it. Through it and to it.
Let's talk about more about this in discussion. This is where we like to stop the episode and thank everyone who has joined our Patreon so far. Thank you very much. To Sean, Tammy, Spencer, and Danielle. Thank you all so much for coming to the Patreon. There's a lot going on there. Unless you're a free member. But really, thank you for joining, even just to hang out. There's a lot going on. One thing I want to point out, we're recording tonight.
Ooh.
Remembering the Bazaar. It's the only game on the Patreon that is cooperative. Me and you.
Co-op, split screen.
Against Ben, who's, in this case, the big bad boss. But he is quizzing us anywhere between 12 to 20 questions.
I imagine him with like a lifeline, and he's got like this like Spyro jiggle. Yeah, and then like every time we get a question right, a little bit of his life goes down. He goes, oh!
Yeah. And we get to bounce back at each other. It's where we talk about old episodes that we've done, probably in like the 2021, 2022's era.
2020.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been a ride. But we look at these old episodes, and we try to remember as much as we can.
Yeah.
And if we get more than half right, we win.
Also, just based off that, I'm not shouting this out. So after I say this, pretend I didn't. Because this is my shout out.
There's more shout outs.
But there's a quiz attached to this episode.
That's true.
Once a month.
Very true.
We will quiz each other on an episode that we are doing currently. Charlie quizzed me on this episode. To find out how I did or didn't do, you got to go to Patreon and check that out.
If you put up like the Mavericks. Did they win? I don't know if they won yet.
Luka, Kyrie, they're playing later tonight.
Is that the final game?
No, this is game 5.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what happens.
So what I'd like to shout out is if you like hoodies, if you like merch, if you like cool designs with Mothmen and black-eyed kids and tents and Jersey Devil. Is Jersey Devil on it?
I don't think so.
I think Jersey Devil's on it.
Is it? I don't remember.
Maybe Mothman's not on it.
I think Mothman's on it.
Yeah, Jersey Devil's on this. It's been a minute since I've seen it. But it's really cool. It is our Not Tier hoodie design, and you get it free automatically by being a member of the Not Tier for 3 months. It pops. It's awesome. It's a sweet design. Shout out Kimmy from the Alluring Podcast. She designed that for us.
Yeah. And we did just see it recently when we did the listener interview.
Yeah, I was paying more attention to his face.
That's true.
There's another shout out, but ignore that we said it. We also interview people that submit stories to us, and that's over on Patreon.
Yes, that's right.
A lot of stuff over there.
Yeah. So that said, thank you for everyone on Patreon. We appreciate you more than you know. Let's get back to the story, though. All right. I think I know how you're going to go on this already.
Let me just say, when I went to Oklahoma.
Yes.
In 2016, February 2016, went to visit one of our good friends, Parker, who was there for our Halloween in Gettysburg.
He was.
He told the joke. Key. If you were there,
the spooky.
I went and visited him in Oklahoma, and yes, I went to visit him, but I also planned it when the Cavaliers were playing Oklahoma City, and this is when Kevin Durant and Russell
Thunder?
Westbrook were playing for the Thunder, and the Cavs whooped that ass.
Wow!
And that was the year they won the championship. Yeah.
That was the year they won the championship?
Yeah, 2016.
Good for them.
2016. Awesome. It was amazing.
But anyway, so let's go back to Finland.
Yeah, so are we talking about Finland or are we talking about the American stories that aren't real?
Talk about Finland. Okay. Finland myths. What was your favorite myth or monster?
I really like this. The seaweed one is very creepy.
I gotta find it.
Like that is one that like if I was there, like a seaweed water monster that's gonna get me. Like normally water monsters
don't do it.
No, don't really do it for me. Like unless, it's rare that I'm in water that's not a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Or the 1 week I'm in the ocean in North Carolina. Outside of that, very rare.
Yeah.
So it's not really top of mind. But like the seaweed one, also, so that one is
the Naki.
The Naki is very creepy, and then also this mountain shaping drilling troll thing.
Oh, the Piko.
That would be the one that I'm young 7-year-old Tyler. Yeah. That would be the one that's like, I'm not leaving the backyard.
Imagine being in the forest and you're like, you remember all of a sudden, I shouldn't be out here. There's Piko out here.
Yeah.
My teeth are fucked.
But just even like imagine, like you get lost, but you're young, so you're not good at navigating. You get lost and you mistake a landmark. So you feel like there should be a hill there and you don't see it. Mm-hmm. And really you're just lost, but you're young and you're just comprehending and you're like, whoa, I swear to God there was a hill there and now it's not there. It's coming for me.
Yeah. Or even like something's there that you don't remember.
Yeah.
There's like a rock formation. Like, I don't remember this rock formation.
Sometimes the stuff can be, especially, and I'm not trying to get any hate here. Sometimes when you get in the mythological stuff, it can be a little silly when you just take it at face value. Mm-hmm. But if you put yourself in the mindset, these things can be creepy.
Especially when these things were formed, like way, way, way back in the day, right?
Might not help the believability scale, but if I put myself in that mindset, I can definitely see the creep factor and the just like, I don't want to be here. And also the messaging, right? Like, don't go out.
Oh, yeah.
Stay away from the water.
And that's what a lot of these things are. Don't go out in the forest by yourself. Don't go out to the mountains by yourself. Yeah. Don't go hiking alone. You can take that out too.
We need some 21st century myths to keep kids in front of the TV.
Isn't that just Slender Man? Or the Rake.
That wasn't why it was created.
No, it's not
Slender
why.
Man in 2009. We need to start creating one. Like, if you leave our backyard without telling us, the greenhouse gases are gonna.
Yeah, I didn't need any.
By the way, I believe in global warming, so don't come after me, y'all.
I didn't need any reason to leave the TV when I was a kid. I got rocket power. I was ready. I was good for that.
Are you a Twister fan?
Twister was great.
Twister was, I think, my favorite.
Rocket Power.
Reggie was cool, too.
I like Nick. SpongeBob was amazing.
Nickelodeon, yeah. It's a rough time to like Nickelodeon right now, but I was a Nickelodeon kid.
Yeah. I like their cartoons a lot. So, yeah, a lot of these myths come from messaging. The reason why I filled this episode with stories of creatures of the like is because I couldn't find anything from Finland. Like, I saw this creature. We still believe in it in my family. I couldn't find those.
Do you think it's because they don't use Reddit the same way we use Reddit? Do you think it's because they keep their stories close to the vest, more like an oral, we tell people around a campfire, it's in like family tradition? Or do you think they just don't believe it?
I think it's kind of they don't use it like we do. Use Reddit like we do.
You gotta find Finnish Reddit.
And also, I don't know if they maybe have wrote it out somewhere, but it's not in English, which is possible. I know there's like, that's why doing things like this, like Finnish myths, Japanese myths, Chinese myths are harder because we don't speak the language.
You just got to throw a ChatGPT, translate this. Let's go. We'll make the best of it.
I got to find them. That's part of the challenge. But I couldn't find anything for Finland. I tried very hard. So that's why I subsidized with gnome stories, Oklahoma, whatever the other ones were.
When I can't
you think any of those are real?
When I don't know where to turn, I go to Oklahoma.
Who doesn't? It's the middle.
I saw my wife was just in Oklahoma.
Oh, was she?
Yes.
That's cool.
She was
the play.
She's in the play. No, I'm doing it because I can't think of the name, and it's gonna
wasn't Betty or something?
No, it's not Betty.
I don't know the name.
I have to, otherwise it's gonna. She was Ado Annie. It was like her dream role. She played it in high school and she got to play it again. It was a great musical.
Okay. I've never seen it.
No, I don't believe any of the stories.
None of them? What about the first one? What about the first one, The Home? I feel like that could just be spirits.
Are you asking if I believe they're gnomes, or are you asking if I think there's anything paranormal going on?
Do you think there's anything paranormal going on?
Okay, that's a different mindset.
Different animal?
Let me switch. Potentially, I don't like... I don't know how to take the nonchalantness. I don't know if it's just not real. I'm a little harsher with Reddit posts and people who submit to us, just being honest.
Well, I was going to say, how many stories have you heard where people are like, I got to ghost my house? MBD.
It bothers me how they did that to the person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what it is? If they just said ignore it, I'll tell you about it later. That's so different than don't look at it. That is like there's an underlining warning there.
Yeah.
There's like, check the warning label.
If you look at it?
Yeah. And just they go back to bed knowing that person's not going to get another wink of sleep.
It's like you want to look at it though.
It's such a terrible move. And that one, I believe there could be some paranormal instance. Honestly, even the second one with the voices. I mean, what would that be? Yeah. Do I think it's gnomes? No. But, I mean, it was creepy. We don't know where that one took place, right?
No, we don't.
Probably Oklahoma.
The first one?
Second one.
The second was Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so that's where the voices were. The voices
yes, that's
were
right.
Oklahoma.
In the middle of nowhere.
There's all these kids picked up in a twister, flying by,
yeah,
laughing.
So I guess if you're going to rank Finnish myths and monsters, these myths and monsters specifically, Where do you rank them?
I put all of them in one scale.
Yeah, one scale.
Skeptical.
That's interesting.
Is that interesting coming from me?
No. Yeah. I thought you were going to go lower.
Oh, unbelievable?
I thought you were going to go unbelievable.
Well, there's some, like, the seaweed monster, to me, holds more weight than Boulder Dew that drills kids' teeth. But, you know what I mean? It's like, it's closer to unbelievable than viable to me, but I'm going to give it a skeptical. There was like 7 of them, No,
because I do believe in, like, the fairy creatures and, like, the...
Yeah, you put Tinkerbell creatures.
Yeah. I'm going to go actually viable because I do believe in some of those creatures.
You need to travel to Finland. Have an experience and then write about it.
All right.
And then I'll
see you next week. I'm going to go right now. Thank you for listening to this episode on Finland's myths and monsters.
The episode is finished.
Anyway, if you want to, it's a little late now, but if you want to play along with the quiz, listen to what happened.
No, most of the questions are geography.
There's 3.
We completed that quiz. I won't tell you how I did, but we completed that quiz, and I didn't feel like I knew anything about this episode. I can tell you where it is on a map and the seas that's next to it, though.
I don't think you could. You do know the seas.
I probably could.
Anyway,
that's fair.
It was a lot of fun. You know what? This episode was a lot of fun. And that's all anyone can ask for.
It's all you can ask for.
If you are Finnish and you like what we didn't like what we did, I'd prefer if you liked it. Let me know with a review on Apple or Spotify or YouTube.
If you didn't like it, comment on Spotify. If you did like it, head over to Apple. Oh, what are some comments we've gotten?
Oh, from the past on Spotify, you can leave your comments.
From our last episode.
Yeah, our last episode.
What are people saying?
People are pumped about this episode. I'll tell you what.
What was the last episode? Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep paralysis. Listener stories.
Yeah, people like the listener stories.
From Nicola, they said, more submissions, please. I assume listener submissions. I love seeing something new from you. I can't say y'all.
Y'all?
Can't say it.
What?
You all. I can't say it very well.
Then you can't go to Oklahoma, homie.
I wasn't planning on it. I love seeing something from you all when I open my Spotify up.
Yins.
I check for y'all's podcast to see if there's anything new before I look for music when I'm working.
You sound like AI when you say it. I can see why you don't. Listen. We probably should do like a poll or something.
Should Charlie say y'all?
No. A lot of people have been telling us in various media formats that they like our listener submissions.
They have.
I don't know if anyone's cracked the code. We kind of broke it lately, but we have a certain rhythm with how often we do listener submissions, which typically ends up with being about once a month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We are in 2022 of listener submissions, which means we are at most or at least a year and a half behind.
Yeah.
If you guys want more listener submissions more regularly, Charlie and I already have a kind of a game plan about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys feel that way, let us know, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, sound off in
the
comments.
We'll talk to our managers and people. And
that's just
the production, and we'll figure out, we'll look at our workflows.
Ben, can we do more listener submissions?
No.
I guess that's it, guys.
Sorry, no more.
I'm just going to delete all those folders now.
Yeah, right. Sounds good. Next comment is from Wells.John. Said, I look forward to Tuesdays just because of you guys. That means a lot. That means a whole lot. Well, And the last one is from Nancy. She said, I love sleep paralysis episodes. You guys are great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for leaving those just the best comments. You guys are the best. Thank you for listening.
So also, we haven't said this in a minute, but summertime is coming, and we have a bunch of T-shirts if you want to represent the podcast on your chest. We got listener submission episodes. We got our retro UFO design. We have our neon logo design. We have our normal design that you would see when you open up your podcast player.
Yeah.
Like the purple UFO. Tons of shirts. We haven't dropped anything new recently. Jalen, we don't hate you. It's just we've got a lot going on. But we do have a bunch of merch out there. So if you haven't checked in a minute, go back and see if there's anything you'd like. Obviously, we got hoodies and hats and things like that too.
Fanny packs. That's true. But we got a lot going on. And, if you're enjoying this episode, you've caught up, you can always check out what's going on the Patreon.
That's right. But we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for listening to Believe in the Bizarre, the only place you will ever find an episode that connects Oklahoma and Finland. As always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre,
a podcast as bizarre as you are.